Hi everyone, welcome to SriSai online training. Right. So today in advanced Python programming, we are going to discuss the following topics in this session. So first topic is constructor executions in Python class, self variable in methods of a Python class. So types of variables in a Python class. So basically we have three types of variables in a Python class, but we are going to discuss only one type, instance variable. So working with instance variable and how to delete instance variable. Right. So let us have a small revision what we discussed in the last session. Okay. So in the last session we had a discussion on object oriented programming. So what is object oriented programming? So it is a programming based on real life situations. So real life situations in the form of computer program is called as object oriented programming, or you can also call it as programming based on real life situations or objects. So in Python everything is a object. Every value is a object, function is a object, everything is a object. So in OOPS we have four basic principles. Okay, so first one is abstraction, second one is encapsulation, third one inheritance, fourth one polymorphism. So these are the four principles of OOPS. So real life situation in the form of computer program. So what is abstraction? So abstraction means hiding unnecessary things and exposing only necessary things outside a class is known as abstraction. So here basically we do this abstraction in program using abstract classes and interfaces. And then coming to the encapsulation, encapsulation means it says that every product has two things, data as input and functionality as usage. And encapsulation in Python program, it is done with classes and objects. Next, inheritance, getting properties and functionality from existing class into new class is called as existing product to new product is called as inheritance. So in Python program, inheritance is done using base class and subclass. And fourth one, polymorphism. So poly means many, morphism means forms. So existence of a single product in multiple forms based on some condition is called as polymorphism. And polymorphism in Python is done using method overloading, constructor overloading. Yeah, we don't have constructor overloading, method overloading, method overriding, optionally constructor overloading. Right. And we have started with classes and objects, which is encapsulation feature. So class. So class is a collection of, or class is binding together data properties or variables plus functions or methods. Okay. And object is an instance of a class which represents state and behavior of a class. Okay, so basically we create the object like this, obj1 is equals to something like student object. Okay, so whenever we create an object of a class, okay, so student class followed by this circle parenthesis, automatically constructor is invoked. So constructor is a special method of a class. Okay, so constructor is a special method of a class, and constructor is given with double underscore init, double underscore with self variable. So this is a constructor with self variable as input parameter. So self indicates current object. Self indicates current object. Okay, and inside the constructor we initialize our object data properties. Okay, so inside the constructor, it is used to initialize data properties of a class for particular object. So whichever object is created, for that constructor is called automatically, and in the body of the constructor we initialize the data properties of a class. Okay, so basically we can have variables and methods inside a class. So we can define those variables or methods inside a class using we can define the variables using self. Okay, so something like self dot roll number, next self dot name, self dot height. Okay, and we can also define some methods, something like define display method with self variable. So inside display method we are going to display self dot roll number, self dot name, self dot height. Also we can also write accept method, in which we are going to accept, okay, data properties or variables of a particular object using self variable. So self dot roll number, self dot name, self dot height. Okay, so these variables and methods, okay, we have to access them outside the class. Okay, so we have to access them outside the class using object name. Okay, so we access them outside the class using object name. So it is done like this. For example, s1 dot roll number or name or height, uh, and we can say s1 dot display, or we can also say s1 dot accept. Okay, so this is how we work with variables and methods inside a class, and we access them outside the class using object reference name s1, s2, s3, employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, etc. So this is what is all about, a revision to the last session on object oriented programming with classes and objects. So coming to the today's topic, constructor execution while object creation. So whenever we are creating the object of a class, constructor is executed automatically when object is created for a particular class. For example, it goes like this here, right? So obj1, obj2, obj3. Okay, so we are creating the object of a class using class name followed by circle brackets. So circle brackets indicates method call. So here circle brackets with class name indicates constructor. So constructor is a special method. So constructor call. Okay, so demo circle brackets, it indicates constructor is called for obj1, obj2, obj3 three times. So let us try to demonstrate this with a small program, demo.py. Okay, right, so let us go to demo.py. So class demo, now inside this we are taking two methods, def, first one is double underscore init, double underscore self. So this is a constructor with self variable. So self indicates current object. So here we are printing constructor is called self. So when you say self here, it will print that particular object address in memory. Okay, so it will print that particular object address in memory. And similarly, we are also taking definition display method with self variable and displaying display method is called self. Again, when you print self, it will print the address of that particular object in memory, right? Okay, so first we will call obj is equals to demo. Okay, let us put the comment for remaining cases. Right, save this program in your working directory. Right, so come to the command prompts. Go to your working directory. So simply say py demo dot. Okay, so in advanced programs, I have also created one more folder, object oriented programming 1. Right, so here we'll say py demo.py. So constructor is called. Okay, so it is called for obj1 object. Okay, and this is the address of that object or reference of this object in memory. Okay, so in the last we have 760. Okay, so similarly, let us create obj2, obj3. So for these three, constructor is called with self variable. So self variable means here obj1, obj2, obj3, current object under execution. So save this, come to the command prompt and run. So constructor is called for obj1. This is the address of obj1, obj2 640, obj3 550. So this total is a address. We are just referring only last 3 digits. Now call the display method. Okay, so obj1.display, obj2.display, obj3.display. So here obj1, obj2, obj3 are passed automatically to self. So self means current object. So when you say obj1.display, self means obj1. When we say obj2.display, then self means obj2. obj3.display, self means obj3. So save this and run. So if you see here, display method is called for obj1. Okay, now the address is changing. So address of obj1 is fdo. So display method for obj1 fd0, not o. Next, for obj2 constructor fao, display method for obj2 fao. Next, constructor for obj3 f10, display method for obj3 f10. So this address will be changing from time to time and execution to execution because it is allocated by Python virtual manager when we run the program. Okay guys, so here self. So self is a variable which is automatically passed to the constructor. So this is how constructor is executed automatically when object of a class is called. Okay, so this is constructor. Right guys, so constructor is given with double underscore init with self variable. So self indicates current object under execution. Now coming to the concept of self variable in instance method. Okay, so what is this instance method? So instance methods are regular methods in a class. Okay, so instance means object. Instance means object. So these methods are mostly used by objects. So they are mostly used by objects to perform different operations. Okay, so to perform different operations. Right, so now let us try to demonstrate this with a small programmer, student12.py. So we'll take a student12 class. Okay, so take a class student12. So command goes like this: student12 class definition. Okay, now inside this we are taking the constructor double underscore init double underscore self. So self means current object. So compulsory whenever we are using constructors and methods of a class, self is compulsory whenever you want to work with objects. Okay, and we are taking three variables x, y, z, and then we are initializing three input parameters: x2 self dot roll number, self dot name y, self dot height z. Okay, so roll number, name, height will become our instance variable or object related data properties. Okay, so similarly we are taking display with self input parameter and then print. So print roll number, substitution operator, curly braces, new line, name, substitution operator, curly braces, new line, height, substitution operator, curly braces. So this substitution operator we are going to use with format function. Dot format. So format, pass the values for substitution operator. Self dot roll number, first one, roll number. It will be displayed here. Next, self dot name, it will be displayed for second substitution operator. Self dot height, it will be displayed for third substitution operator. Right, now create an object of the class s1 is equals to student. So student constructor. For student constructor we are passing three values: 1001 roll number, next Sairam name, 6.0 height. So these will be passed to x roll number, y name, z height. So how self is passed? So self is passed automatically. So self means current object, which is s1. S1 is passed automatically. So when you say s1 display, s1 dot display, so s1 is passed to display function. So it will display here s1 dot roll number, next s1 dot name, s1 dot height. Okay, so save this. So self means current object. Come to the command prompt. Right, so run student12 dot py. So roll number 1001 x, name Sairam y, height 6.0 z. Okay, we'll create one more object here, s2. Okay, so s2 object for class student12. Okay, so x roll number 1002, next y Arun, name, z height 5.9. So simply say s2 dot display. So when you say s2 dot display, it will display s2 dot roll number, s2 dot name, s2 dot height, because now the current object is s2, self is s2 now. Save this and come to the command prompt, run. So roll number, name, height. So this is how we are supposed to use self variable in our methods. Methods inside a class or constructor inside a class. Constructor is also a method. Right, now let us try to understand some basic differences between what is constructor, what is method. Okay, so first difference goes like this. So constructor has a fixed name init, double underscore init, double underscore. Method has user defined names. Display method. Okay, we can also take accept method, etc. Okay, so constructor is called and executed automatically when object is created. So whenever you create the object, constructor is called automatically. Next, method is called manually and executed. So s1.display, s2.display, then only method is called. Okay. Next, third difference, constructor is called and executed only once per object. So when you create the object, it is called and executed only once. But method can be called and executed any number of times as per the object. S1, S2, S3, so on. Okay. So for any number of objects, we can call the method. Okay. Next, constructor is mainly used to declare and initialize instance variables. So instance variables means they are object variables. Okay. So object variables means roll number, name, height. But what is the use of method? So method is used to write our business logic. Like display method, display the data. Accept method, accept the data. So these are some basic differences between constructors and methods in a Python class. Right. So now let us try to understand what are the different types of variables we can define inside a Python class. So in a Python class, we can define three types of variables. First one, instance variables. So instance variables means object level variables, like we are already working roll number, name, height. So instance means object. So these variables are related to every object separately. So if you take roll number, name, height, for every student you will have different roll number, different name, different heights. Okay, so that's why they are called as object level variables. Second one, static variables. So static variables are also called as class level variables. So these variables are common for all the objects of a class. Okay, so I'll write it here, common for all objects of a class. Instance variables, they are separate for every object. Okay, so roll number, name, height, they are separate for every object. But coming to the static variables, class variables are common for all the objects, like college name, college address, college phone number. They are common for all the objects. Next, third one, local variables. So local variables are also called as method variables. So these variables are defined inside particular method of a class. Okay, so they are defined inside particular method of a class, particular method or particular function of a class. Okay, right. So in this session we are going to discuss instance variables. So instance variables, object level variables. So here instance means object. So instance variables, they are separate for every object of a class. So separate memory is allocated for instance variable for every object. So for example, let us create three objects: S1 student object, S2 student object, S3 student object. Now for these three objects in memory, you will have a separate location. For example, S1. So S1 will have, okay, roll number, name, height separately. Similarly, S2. So S2 will have roll number, name, height separately. Similarly, S3. S3 will have roll number, name, height separately. So instance variables are separate for every object of a class which are used in a program. Okay. Now how to declare and how to access instance variables. So basically we declare instance variable inside a constructor. using self variable. So underscore underscore init self dot roll number, self dot name, self dot height. So inside the constructor we can define. Like inside instance method means regular methods also we can define with self variable. For example, if you take accept method with self variable, inside accept method also we can define the roll number, name, height, age, marks, instance variable. And outside the class also we can define using object reference variable. Example, s1 dot roll number, s1 dot name, s1 dot height, and we can assign the respective values. Okay, so we can declare instance variables in three ways now. One, inside a constructor using self, inside a method using self. 3, outside a class using object. Okay, right. So for example, we'll see all three cases in three different programming code. First one, inside the constructor using self variable. So in the body of the constructor, we can define instance variables using self keyword. Okay, so once object is created, these variables are automatically added to that particular object. Okay, so to that particular object. So for constructor, self variable should be taken as first parameter. For example, if you see here, def underscore underscore init self. Right, so let us try to demonstrate this with a small program, employee.py. Right, so get back to the program here. Fine. So program to define instance variables in. First we'll see constructor. Okay, right, so take a class employee, description of the class, employee class definition. So this is a constructor now. Okay, right, so inside the constructor, self dot employee number 1122, self dot ename sci, self dot job manager, self dot salary 5600. So employee number, ename, job, salary. So these are the 4 data properties for a particular employee object. Okay, right. So now what we'll do is we'll try to display them in the program. How? It's very simple. First, create the object of the class. Okay, so I'll write here using constructor with self variable. So E1 is equals to employee constructor. So for E1 object, constructor is automatically called. So here self means E1. E1 dot employee number, E1 dot ename, E1 dot job, E1 dot salary. So these are declared and initialized for E1 objects. Okay, right. So now we'll say print employee class E1 object, E1 dot display. So let us go to display method. So display self. So E1 means self. It is passed automatically to display. Right. So E1 dot employee number, E1 dot ename, E1 dot job, E1 dot salary. So constructor and display. So save this program, come to the command prompt, run employee.py. Right. So employee class E1 object. Okay. So employee number 1122, ename sci, job manager, salary 5600. Okay ma, so this is how we have to work with instance variables inside a constructor which are separate for every object of a class. Right, now here for even object creation, self variable. So self means even. So even object is automatically passed to the constructor. Similarly, self in display method, even is automatically passed. Okay, right? And we can also use something like print even underscore underscore dict underscore underscore. So it prints all the data properties of that particular object as dictionary type. So let us try to check for this. Okay, right. Copy this and come to the program. Print even double underscore dict double underscore dict. Double underscore. Save this and run in the command prompt. So employee number 1122, e-name, SI, job, manager, salary 5600. So this is how using dict variable we can get all the properties of a particular object as name value in dictionary objects. Okay, right. So previously we have also seen how to get the comments. So comments of a class, we have to say print employee dot under double underscore doc double underscore. So we'll also see that. So employee class description. So what is a description, ma? Employee class definition. So this should be printed. Save and run. So employee class definition. So similarly, if we want to see complete description of employee class, we have to say help employee, help class name. Okay, so come back to the program, also give helper. Okay, right, so help employee will get complete description of employee class. So this is complete description of employee class. Employee class definition, class definition, method definitions. We have init method, accept method, display method, and then we have all the variables in underscore underscore dict variable. Okay, so weak references, it's not related to us, we'll discuss that later. Okay, right now, so this is how we have to work with, okay, instance variables inside a constructor using self keyword. So now coming to instance variables inside instance methods using self keyword. Okay, right. So till now we did not discuss instance methods. So instance methods are regular methods like accept method, display methods, which are used in a program. So how to define instance variable for a particular object inside instance method? Same like constructor only. So in the body of the instance method, we define instance variable using self keyword. Using self keyword. Okay. So once that method is called, these variables are automatically added to that particular object. Particular object. So same like self only. So for instance methods, we have to pass self variable as first parameter. Okay, so as first parameter we have to pass. Okay, right guys, so how to work with this instance variables? Okay, so let us try to demonstrate this in the program. Okay, employee.py. Okay, right, so here if you see here in the program employee.py, previously we worked with constructor, now accept method. So definition accept method, okay, self. So we are passing self as the input parameter, current object. So self dot employee number 1133, ename Ram, job HR, salary 4600. So how to use this in the program? Okay, so basically we create the object of a class and use it. So let us put a comment for the previous case, okay, using constructor. So now we'll go to using instance method, okay. So instance methods are regular methods only. Regular methods or functions inside a class which are used by objects. So employee class E2 object. So I'm creating E2 object employee. So it will go to the constructor and initialize employee number, ename, job, salary 1122, SI, manager 5600. But we don't want the details. Now we want accept details. So e2.accept, e2.display. So it will go to first accept e2. E2 means self. So now previous data from constructor will be replaced by this new data. So e2.employee number 1133, name Ram, job HR, salary 4600. And when you say display, it will display the data which are given in accept method using self variable. Okay, right. So save this program, come to the command prompt and then run employee.py. So e2 object, row, employee number, name, job and salary. Okay guys, so this is how we are supposed to work with instance variables inside instance methods or regular methods of a particular object. So guys, now coming to instance variables accessed or declared outside a class using object reference variable. Now for this we directly use object name e3.employee number, e3.ename, e3.job, e3.salary. So let us demonstrate this in the same program employee.py, right. So let us put comment for the previous case using instance method, right. So now come to outside the class. So this is instance variables outside the class, okay. Right guys, so employee class E3 object. So let us create a new object here, E3. So E3 is equals to employee. So it will go to the constructor and in the body of the constructor, it will automatically initialize with the given default values. Okay, it will automatically initialize with given default values in the constructor 1122 SI manager 5600. So what we are doing, we are reinitializing it here. How? E3 dot employee number 1133, ename Ali, job developer, salary 3600 and e3 dot display. So save this program. Next, come to the command prompt and then run. So e3 object, ename, first employee number, ename, job, salary. Right, so this is how we have to work with, okay, instance variables outside a class using object reference variable, right. And finally we can print all the variables, okay, right. For example, I want to print E3, all the variables data properties using double underscore dict double underscore. So save this, come to the command prompt and run. So these are the data properties or variables for E3. Employee number 1133, employee name Ali, job developer, salary 3600. Same thing we displayed in the display method. Right, so similarly we can also work with employee. So employee double underscore doc, it will give the description of the particular class which we have already worked here previously in this case. And then we can also say help employee also we have worked. So this is what is instance variables in Python class inside the constructor, inside the instance method or regular method, outside the class. So first two cases we use self. In third case we use object name dot property name. Right, so now coming to the concept of how to access instance variable. Okay, so we have seen how to declare instance variable, how to access instance variable. So we have already seen this in the program. Now inside the class using self variable in constructors and methods, self.employee number, self.ename, self.job, self.salary. So we use this inside a class using constructors and methods. Similarly, outside the class using object reference variable with dot operator. So E3 dot employee number, E3 dot ename, E3 dot job, E3 dot salary. So we have already seen this in the program. So inside the constructor, self dot, self variable. So inside the instance method, self dot. But outside the class, we have to use object name dot employee number, ename, job, salary, E3 dot display. So this is how we have to access instance variables inside the class using self variable and outside the class using object reference variable name. So the last topic, how to delete instance variables from a particular object. Very simple. Now to delete instance variables from a particular object using constructors and methods, we use self variable. Example, delete self dot variable name. Okay, so it is done with self variable. Okay, and here we use delete statement. Okay, so I'll write it here. Delete keyword or statement is used with variable name. So inside constructors and methods we use delete self dot variable name. Outside the class we use with object name, delete object name dot variable name. So let us try to demonstrate this in demo class.py. Take a new program to demo deleting instance variables. So take the class demo class, comment or description, demo class definition, constructor. So inside the constructor we are taking three instance variables, self.a, self.b, self.c. Okay, so here we are initializing them to 11, 22, 33, and then we are taking display method with self and displaying self.a, self.b, self.c, and then we are taking one more instance method, delete vars, okay, or delete variables. It's a method name. So for this also we are passing self parameter and delete self.a, self.b, self.c. Self means current object A, B, C will be deleted. Right, so now let us try to do this. individually. First, create an object of demo class obj1. So obj1 dot abc 11 22 33. After that, obj1 dot display. It will display 11 22 33. After that, delete all the variables. Okay, right, and then print obj1 dot double underscore dictionary. So initially one time print dictionary also. After that, display obj1 dot delete variables, and once again print dictionary. So save this, come to the command prompt. So run demo class dot py. So initially in obj1 we have a 11, b 22, c 33. So in display method, a, b, c. Right. So after that, once again we are saying obj1 dot dictionary. So we got an error. We don't have any variables. Okay. Acha, delete variables. We'll use this method. Delete variables. After that, we'll print the dictionary. So save this and run. So initially we have 3 variables in the dictionary. So using display method a, b, c, and using once again when we say dictionary, it is empty because all 3 variables are deleted. So when you call display method, you'll get the name error because a, b, c are deleted. Okay, right. So now let us try to understand some technical points here. So instance variables deleted for one object are not deleted for other object because they are separate for every object. Okay, so check this in the program. So let us put comment for this. Okay, so let us take 2 objects. Okay, and then work with that. Okay, so first obj2. Okay, right, so here we'll say we'll take obj1 also, obj1, and then obj2 demo class. obj2 dot display, you will get 11 22 33. After that, delete obj2 dot a, obj2 dot b, obj2 dot c. Print, okay, obj1 dot dictionary, and also print obj2 dot dictionary. Okay, so don't take display method, you'll get the error because after deleting no variables will be available. So save this. Okay, come to the command prompt and run. Right, so if you see here, okay, so what we'll do is here is let us put comment for this. Okay, right, so let us once again create obj1. Okay, obj1 demo class, obj2 demo class. So initially we'll take obj1 dict, obj2 dict, delete for obj2 all the variables, and then print obj1 obj2 dict object, dict variable. So save this, come to the command prompt and run. So initially obj1 abc, obj2 abc. After that, we have deleted obj2 abc. obj1 values are there, obj2 we don't have the values. So if obj2 object values are deleted, they are not reflected to obj1 because in memory they have separate memory allocation. So similarly, if instance variables of one object are updated, they are not changed or reflected to other object because for every object we have a separate copy. So let us try to demonstrate this in the program, guys. Okay, right, so if you see here, instance variables for one object, they are not reflected to other objects. Okay, right, so take it like this. So let us take first obj5, okay, demo class constructor, obj6 demo class constructor. So initially we'll print obj5 and obj6 data properties. After that, obj5 we will change a, b, c, 111, 222, 333. After that we print obj5 dictionary values, will get the new values. obj6 will have the old values only. So save this, come to the command prompt and run. So if you see here, obj, okay, let us put comment for the remaining cases. Deleting, okay, variables, right, obj5 11, 22, 33, obj6 11, 22, 33. obj5 we have changed 111, 222, 333. They are not updated to obj6 because when we delete or update any data properties to a particular object, they are reflected to only that particular object. They are not updated to other objects. So this is how we are supposed to work with deleting instance variables inside a class for a particular object and outside a class using, for a particular object dot property name. So that is what is all about today's session, guys, in advanced Python programming, constructors execution in Python, self variable in Python methods, okay, types of variables in Python class. So we have three types of variables. So we have discussed working with instance variables and deleting instance variable inside a class as well as outside a class. So thank you guys for watching and listening to this session. Have a nice day.